Continue with our special report. A reminder that the following report contains graphic content that some viewers may find distressing and disturbing. The discovery of the body of 24-year-old Tshepang Pitse shocked many South Africans. Her body was chopped up and put in a fridge, allegedly by her lover and cousin, Newzroom Afrika sits down with her father, Walter Pitse, who talks about his daughter, Tshepang.
The alleged murderer, Newzroom, was arrested in November last year. He's appeared in court numerous times. But for Tshepang's father, who is deeply hurting, he sometimes cannot make it to court.
Yes, I look court, and then after I finished the phone, the family go murule, and then Rabua. And then Rasimulot Kotogari Lahabit before December. You know, Pateleta or gay court. But sometimes say, Ugarelo Rajono drive, again now we get some drive, and you could pay somebody or undrive. How somebody as you sometimes you go to Palo court. Because you got a Palo drive, I get to the gate.
So with regards to crimes such as this or murder cases, it's difficult to actually pinpoint and say, okay, with this particular case, what was the reason for the perpetrator to commit the crime or to commit the murder? Because obviously I do not know him personally, I have not assessed him, and I have not given him any sense of intervention or therapy. However, in cases such as this, you realize that most of the time when you look at it psychodynamically, it's mostly how the person was raised. Did they have a hostile upbringing, an abusive upbringing, or did they live in a situation whereas violence was the order of the day, for a lack of better words? Okay, so you look at a person like this and you want to ask yourself, are they remorseful for what has happened? And you find that maybe this is learned behavior from their childhood experiences, or you find that maybe they have mental health problems that they have not dealt with, and such as depression or such as trauma, PTSD as well. So they are unable to actually deal with their own stresses, and they take it out on others in anger or frustration and so forth. So it's difficult to really say in a case such as this. However, every case is unique.
Preparing for such a court case can be daunting.
So, investigations, that's the first leg. From investigations, you still have to now consider the facts with the prosecutor. From the facts, there's the court. Now, understanding that our justice system is not well resourced, that's the other factor. So, it goes through many hands, from the arresting officer to the investigating officer to the prosecutor. You can imagine, then we have to get dates, and then we have issues such as load shedding. Our courts are not properly staffed, and so there's a host of factors that contribute to why a court case may take such a long time. And also, remember, we still need to afford the other side a chance, so they can say, no, we need a postponement to get our evidence, and we need to question this person. So it's a process in a holistic sense. It takes time in general.
So I think step number one is, are they ready to answer the questions that they are going to be faced with? Okay. So in other words, as a family, they should sit down and discuss what are the things that they are willing to talk about, what are the things that they are not willing to talk about. Are they actually ready to express their emotions and, you know, say to the judge, this is how we're feeling, or to the lawyers, this is how we're feeling as a family, as a unit, to create or mobilize that support that they need. Because obviously the trial is already a testing place. So when you go through trial, when you go through the court cases, it's like reliving the trauma. So they must prepare themselves to say, okay, even though we're doing this, how do we debrief? How do we go about having moments as a family to actually express the process, Okay, so they can go maybe to a psychologist also, because I know in my practice I also do that, help people to actually go through the process or prepare for the process of court cases and so forth, because it's a difficult process to go through.
The family, as expressed by Ntate Pitse, are yearning for closure, despite the many questions they have.
In criminal matters, where you are the victim, you need to understand that this is a system. It's a criminal justice system, so everything takes time. And the one thing that you need to bear in mind is that the wheels of justice turn slowly, but they do turn. You understand? So if we are dealing with a case where you are an aggrieved party in a criminal matter, there's the prosecutor, there's the investigating officer, and there's these other officers where you have to be patient with them. The wheels turn slowly, but ultimately when they do turn, justice will be served. So we need to explain to lay people who do not have a legal background that things take time, and don't mind the postponements, because we need to balance the rights. Even the accused person has rights, and he deserves a fair trial. So that again, you have to remember that a person is innocent until proven guilty. So we can't just arbitrarily sentence the person without following due process. So there's procedural fairness, and then the substance where now we have to lead evidence at court and hear the other side as well. So in a nutshell, you have to understand that this is a process that takes time. So we are here to say to the Pitse family and the public in general that the justice system turns slowly, but when justice is served, it's dished as a warm dish.
Why an abola ngwana meditse eng ke ntho ke batla itse fela gore una ammolaela eng o meditse eng ga re se bereko moshareng ga se la tlhokofetse ga re se bereko moshareng because tsetile na tshwantse re go moshareng ba se le ba re emisa ba re emenyana pele because ka re gona le something mo tlhogong se ba se bone so di forensic ba tsere manager wa moshare ba tsere tlhogo ba efa di forensic gore ba check so ba se thutela ga re se bereko sepe sele sa tshepang.
6 months later, Ntate Pitse has not been able to enter the room where his daughter slept when she was home. He's left it as is since he heard of her death.
No, ka mokgwa ngwana ke mo lositseng ka teng le gore go tlhokofetse ke ne ke sa tshepe but nako e ke ntsile for 6 months ya re sa mmone mo le ke be ke rotse ke gore ngwana nka se ka tlhole ke mmone gore go tlhokofetse 6 months ke nako e teng nka se ka tlhole ke mmone gore a ke robale bosigo ga ke kgone go tša ke naganne ngwana gore ke phela gore pelo ka e le botlhoko ke no nna fela strong ke itira ke ke strong a ke matsatsi gore especially handa utlwa go te go na le ngwana ngwanyana gape o boleilweng ka taba tsa di boyfriend mme moro ka gape o tsang boela go tshepang so pelo ka be nna botlhoko gore be tshwantse ke nne yana ga re se be re mo pate mama ke le lo bua le espodisi ga re a gona karabo re ke ra mo bona ba retse fela ba re ba busy le tsa tshepang but re ba kopile gore at least ba re fe go di phatse tse le gore di teng re di pate ba ga nna ba re ntle le tlhogo a gona re ka pata di phatse tse dingwe ga ne le gore tlhogo e teng na ba ka re fa di phatse tse di leng teng a mo worried ka yone and ya llematsa gore ke worried ya llematsa because every day ke nagana fela gore ngwana o le kwa leng teng gore spirit sa go se ko kae o bogile ga bolai o bogile go nang ya sampa le ko mosharo sampa a boga gape ke ntho ile gore ya ngwarisa nna ntho ke e batlang fela ke batlang ke kopa fela government ga police ga ba ka re fa di body parts tse di leng teng re kgone go fitla ngwana ntse re kgone go ikhutsa family lone gore e tshwenyegile thata gore ntho e diragalla le bone mo bone palla every day ga ba khumpi gore family ya rona ga e khumpi gore le community family community ohle ke problem fela ba lla ba batla gore ngwana ono a fithiwe ke gone gore ikhutse.
So firstly, what happens is, in situations such as this, the experience or the death is usually catastrophic and experienced as trauma. In traumatic situations such as this, the grief becomes prolonged, and most of the time the processing of it is so difficult for the family that they can't actually reach a place of mourning. So in a situation like you see now with Walter Pitse, he's having difficulties with actually expressing himself and actually coming to a place of mourning, obviously because now they haven't even reached a place of the burial. So in situations such as this, families, it's safe to say that families should come together, support each other, be open in their experience and how they're feeling, their emotional distress, because this is a point in time where they need each other the most. So with regards to starting the mourning process is, with the process of grief or loss, there's multiple stages that you go through. So they're probably still in the shock and numbness stage because this processing has prolonged, like the grief processing has prolonged to a stage where they can't even create a memorial service. They can't even, as a family, sit and say, okay, let us actually process this loss. So I think that the planning needs to take place. Okay, so now they're in the motion of actually saying, no, we want the body parts. We actually want to proceed with the burial. So let the planning start taking place. They prepare themselves with planning. So when the body parts, what is going to happen? What is the next step? So they say, okay, come and take them today. What happens as a family? So they need to literally sit down and talk about the logistics. So the logistics around the planning of the funeral, the planning of the memorial and things like that. I think that would be the first step to actually going through these stages of grief or loss.
So rona re utlwile ka re bone mo TV ka di 13 tsa November, and then ra utlwa gore ke ena tlhokofetseng ka di 16 tsa November. Ke ntse worried gore okay ge ile gore damane there's something wrong se ngwanong a se editseng mone ngwana ona sampa le monyane ntho e tle mone gore why ge ne le rona batlo a gola le problem na sa tlo bola yana itita ora bola ngwana because ngwana le ko monyane gore e ke buile gantsi rona sa tlo bola yana re le ra bola ngwana ene o mmoletse eng ngwana na editse se kana kana gore a feletsa mmola.
While waiting for the wheels of justice to turn, he keeps busy by either fixing his cars or transporting school children, which is a source of his livelihood.